Join UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio on the second Saturday of every month for our live international radio marathon. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why.
Yeah, this is Detlevs of Wake News Radio, Wake News TV here in Switzerland. I am, your host here for the next hour in our United We Strike radio marathon, which is taking part here out of Switzerland all over the world, though, in English. Yes, and I have the pleasure and the privilege, obviously, to start the United We Strike radio marathon every time, because I'm, according to times zones, the first who will pick up the stream. And therefore I had a couple of hours in German, the first topic of today, divide and conquer. Yes, because that's the strategy and the method of the dominant insane minority which is ruling the world, the earth, since ages. Yeah. And if you are familiar with the Latin word dividere et impera, then you will understand that this is not a new thing, divide and conquer, but it's an old technique of controlling a population, controlling people in this world. The Romans did this very successfully in building up their empire by just letting the enemy fight against each other and thus taking less risk to hurt their own military. That's the way to do it. Yes, and we have a very intelligent, I must say, it's a very intelligent bunch of dominant, insane minority, people, if you want to, that are controlling us since ages, and but the matter is currently the world is awakening to terror and tyranny. And this makes this very difficult for them to continue this old technique, this old strategy to keep us down. Yes, and we have definitely today the opportunity to hear and listen to many different topics and many different guests and hosts during the whole United We Strike radio marathon, which will be after my part here from Switzerland will be going on in the US. Matt Navarro will then take over and lead you through everything which is coming up later on. And I want to give you the opportunity to hear from our sources here from Europe what is going on, and this is one part of the topics which I want to discuss with you today. And the other one is to give an opinion about what is happening in the US, on US territory in Oregon, which we are following here as well, because, we are all patriots, if you want to, and we are all fighting for freedom and liberties. So we are all in a common cause, in a common theme, that is that we are all being controlled by the same bunch of people, the globalists, who are behind all the terror and tyranny which is taking place. And you are all aware of the fact that all terror or tyranny always is state-sponsored terror and tyranny, because they have the interest and the means to conduct terror in this scale. This has always been a tactic of a state or of the power to be, that they wanted to keep the power by controlling and ruling the masses. And this is done best by controlling information, controlling the power, the force, military force, police force, and to control also the means of fear. And fear is one of their instruments and their most important instrument in order to keep the human mind under control, because everybody has this fear in itself. And once you are under fear, we all know this, then you cannot think clearly, you cannot react or act clear and free of fear, and therefore you will not do and take the right decisions. Yes, and this is what is happening also in Europe today. Most people are good-meaning people, or let's say sheep, right? They think the state will protect me, they will give me security, they will try to do the best for me, whatever they can, because I pay taxes, I am of a certain nationality, for instance, I'm German, and the German government will do the best for me whatsoever, or if you're American, the US government will do the best for me. It's obvious, isn't it? Yes, that's the sheep. The sheep will obey as long as they are not personally under threat, under attack by the government. And most people, millions of people also in Europe, still think this way because they are, well, they may see certain problems arriving, but they still can live pretty good off the situation. They still have their income, they still have their property, more or less. They have the opportunity to live in a certain way, in a certain free way still. But, you know, slowly but certainly the frog is being boiled, as the French say. So, you know, you are not really recognizing that you are being attacked and that your freedom is taken away any time, any minute, any second even. So to a certain extent, the system which is trying to convert itself to the new world order, which means in the end as a target or objective to be a ruling class of gods over the earth, with one government, with one bank, with one police force, with one military force, and only 10% of the population which is currently on the earth, living on the earth. So let's say about between 500 million and a billion people in the world as their slaves. That's their final goal. That's their target to be reached. So once they have fulfilled this, they are there, and then they can control everything. But in order to achieve this goal, this NWO, this New World Order, they have to destroy the current matrix system. And this system is currently being destroyed. In Europe, as well as in America, but in Europe now this is very, very obvious. You have an influx of so-called refugees, asylum-seeking people from the Near East, which is Syria or Northern Africa, Muslims mostly, and mostly men. Men in their best age, their best military age. And you are wondering why millions of those refugees are being settled here in Europe, even against the will of the people. the ruling class, the governments, the political elites are enforcing this with the support of the financial and economic leaders, which are also sharing common interests in order to survive and build their part of the new world order. And most people of the good meaning sort, the sheep, haven't even discovered yet that they are played out against us, against the freedom, against the national interests, by believing that the government is only interested in helping those poor people coming in from desperate situations from their countries in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Northern Africa, someplace, whatever. But mostly, those men aren't coming here because they are being politically destroyed in their home countries, but they are coming here for economic interests, because they are being promised a paradise over here in Europe. Some of those refugees in apprentices, please, those refugees, they are demanding to get money, to get material things, to get a house, a housing, to get a car, everything. Now, is this the first thing you would demand if you are a refugee out of a crisis area, which just fled and saved his life or her life? Would you ask for a house? Would you ask for a car? Would you ask for money and what have you? You would be glad, you would be thankful to be in a safe environment, in a safe area, have something to eat, and things like that, get some clothing. But that's not what those refugees currently entering Europe are really demanding. And there may be examples of people who are in a different situation, but the majority of those refugees are refugees which are not refugees, but which are trying to get a new home, a new country to live in. And if you read through the papers, the mass media, the matrix media, the controlled media of the system, and if you listen to the regional politicians and national politicians, those so-called refugees are not meant to be treated as refugees, not only, but as new citizens. So they are being declared new citizens. They are getting German classes, for instance, in Germany or in the Federal Republic of Germany, which is only a part of Germany. And they are being situated, they are being helped to get a driving license. So they are getting support to be settled here in our culture. And the declared objectives of governments and those in power in Europe are, they say they need these refugees, so-called refugees, as new citizens, because Europeans are dying out. There are not enough children being produced by the nationals, right? So they are anticipating a decline of population in the long term. That's why they call in those refugees. And they are very happy that there are so many refugees so they can build a new Europe. Now, this is all very strange, isn't it, for those who have not yet realized that there's a strategy behind this refugee crisis, because it's not a real crisis, not for those who are controlling us or who want to control us, who want to build a new world order. It is a crisis for those who don't want a new world order, who do not want to be regulated, ruled, and controlled by a small, dominant, insane minority, but who rather like to keep their freedom, even build their freedom further, because we are being controlled since ages, especially Germany, almost destroyed by two huge world wars, the World War I, World War II, which is called World War II, but I mean, we still are at work, at the World War, aren't we? Because there's no peace treaty between Germany and the Allied forces, which occupied Germany, which took away the freedom of Germans and the sovereignty. There is no sovereignty of Germany, of the German population. We are still under control of the Allied forces, especially the US Americans. Their headquarters is at Stuttgart and Wiesbaden. They are controlling everything. The military, the secret services, NSA. It's all present. There's even a DHS, Department of Homeland Security office in Berlin. Didn't you know that? So, you know, there are all military operations in Africa and the Near East are controlled from German territory, like Ramstein or Stuttgart, where the headquarters is for the different areas here in Africa and the Near East and Europe, obviously. So, what is really going on? Who is Frau Merkel? Frau Angela Merkel. Frau Angela Merkel is only a, if you want to, a general manager of the territory still occupied by the Allied forces. I mean, the British forces are still in the northern parts of Germany. They still have their troops, their headquarters there. Even one of the governors of one of the smaller states here in the northern part of Germany, in the lower Saxony, that was a British citizen. It's not long time ago, and he's left his post. But you know, you can see that there is a huge influence of Allied forces here in Germany taking part. So, what are we talking about? I mean, we all know that the U.S. regime, which we all know is located in Washington, D.C., which is a separate entity, which is not America. It is not really a part of the United States of America. It is a corporation. The federal powers are originating out of Washington, D.C., which is only a corporation. And this corporation decided to use terrorists worldwide in order to keep everything under control, to control all people, all nations worldwide, especially in the Near East, where they are setting up a new entity, a new area, which we will be experiencing in the time to come. So that's what they're doing. And Obama has talked about it in speeches had declared they will train their ISIL forces. And we all know that terror forces like Al-Qaeda were created by the CIA. This is all available, and this is all archived. So you shouldn't be surprised. So who's behind this influx of mostly Syrian refugees to Europe? Europe is part of this strategy, part of the new empire, which is being created in terms of the new world order. And before they can integrate Europe has to be destroyed. So the current system has to be undermined, destroyed, and reorganized. And by using the divide and conquer strategy, they will try to let the different parties fight each other, because, that's less bloodshed for their own forces. If you get the Christians and Muslims to fight each other, if you get the different parties within a nation, those of the left fraction and the so-called right fraction or the patriots fight against each other, that makes it a lot easier to do the rest afterwards. And that is taking place. There are lots of different initiatives, like the so-called Pegida. You've heard about this, which is organizing protests all over, not only the German-speaking area, but almost the whole of Europe, to protest against the Islamization of Europe. They are being criticized for that they are just standing against the Islam and against Muslims. But it's one of their topics, and every protest they are doing currently, they are being suppressed here by the government, by the police forces, by the justice departments, so they cannot express their protests, like just happened here in Cologne on the 7th, I guess it was 7th or 8th, in Cologne. They had a protest of about 3,000 participants, and the police stopped this protest because of assumed violence, although nothing really happened, because on this protest people were expressing their frustration about what happened New Year's Eve. And you may have heard about this, is already also an international topic, that in Germany, but not only in Germany, but also in Switzerland and Austria and other countries, on New Year's Eve, there were refugees attacking, thousands of refugees attacking women, molesting women, also trying to rob the people at the place where people were celebrating New Year's Eve. And hundreds of women were being molested. So that is a terrible thing. And those women, usually not worried about the security on public places, realized that something has completely changed. This is a complete new situation. And the astonishing thing is that the so-called police, the people that actually should take care of security at those public places, were not present. They were not really doing anything to prevent these criminal activities by those so-called refugees. Refugees are a political topic. If you even mention the word refugee, you're being attacked by media, by politicians, by those who are controlling the information, because that is a word, a non-word. So you only can, are supposed to use this when this is, serving the political agenda. So that's the kind of thing which is now taking place here, in front of your own doorsteps, in the country itself. And now people are realizing something is completely and definitely wrong here. And people are realizing, which may have been very enthusiastic about, helping poor refugees coming to Europe in the millions. Hey, in the millions. I thought this is a good idea because we're also a rich country and we can help, and all these propaganda issues. That they are now being attacked by those they wanted to help. And isn't it very strange that most of those refugees are men at age between 20 and 35, 40. So in their best ages to serve military. Why do they leave their families in their own countries? Why do they leave their women there, their children? Aren't they being attacked there themselves by the ruling forces? So why would you leave your family behind? Why are you just coming as a man who could defend the family at home? That's very strange, isn't it? So there is the opinion of many people that these are actually consciously imported soldiers to take over Europe, to take over possessions of the Europeans, to take over their houses, their living circumstances, take whatever they like, take the women for pleasure, just take whatever you want. Is it that which is behind this strategy? Well, there's a great fear amongst people, and a growing fear amongst people that this is the case. And complicit are their own governments, their own officials, their own police forces, security forces, military even. So people are realizing, wow, I can't even trust my government. I can't even trust the police. They will not protect me. Now, this gives a complete new basis for waking up, for becoming conscious to the fact that we are all living in a matrix, which is a controlled living matrix, which has to keep us down, which is there in order to use us for the few who are controlling the matrix. So this is a good example for what is good out of the catastrophe, that people will be waking up, and many are turning to the new media, to the new information platforms like Wake News, like UNITEDWESTRIKE, like others in the world. So this is an opportunity for all of us to wake even more people up Yeah, we will continue discussion about this, also about the issue in Oregon from our point of view. After that, we will be hearing from Kate Magdalena Willems, up in the sky, because the chemtrail attacks in Europe are as bad as those in the US and everywhere else where those are under control who want to build the new world order. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this, and it is going to be very interesting in the next half hour. So stay tuned.
You're listening to UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio.
Up in the sky, there they go again. The chemtrail planes are flying high. They don't want you to know, so they lie and deny the truth. I wonder who they think they are, laying down white lines to spoil the blue. I wonder why, I wonder how people can doubt what they see in plain view. Up in the sky, there they go again. The chemtrail planes, they're flying high, but they don't want you to know, so they lie and deny the truth. They say it's not happening, it can't be. Why would the government do that to you and me? That what you and I see is illusion, is madness, is conspiracy. They say it's just ice, they only want to talk nice. Can't they see that the atmosphere's changed by the climate change brought by the planes they've arranged? Up in the sky, there they go again. The chemtrail planes are flying high, but they don't want you to know, so they lie and deny the truth. You and I can plainly see that the skies are strewn with whitish goo made of barium, strontium, biologicals too, emitting fibers that grow inside of you, emitted from planes arcing high, while the people below struggle to survive. While the people below breathe, gasp, and die.
Join UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio on the second Saturday of every month for our live international radio marathon. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why.
Yes, hi, this is Detlevs of Wake News Radio, Wake News TV here out of Switzerland, producing the United We Strike Radio Marathon, the first part of it. And we are in the English-speaking part, and we've been discussing what we've well, discussed in the first couple of hours in German here on the topic of today's program, which is divide and conquer. Yes, and we learned about what happens in Europe concerning the so-called refugee crisis, which is just part of the, I would say, military strategy to conquer Europe by dividing. And that is what is happening. It's a step to their overall target or objective to achieve their new world order. And this is a topic which we are, United We Strike, we are following and, talking about and informing about since many, many years. And fortunately, by experiencing the terror themselves, they are waking up. The people are awakening when they suffer themselves or when they see the suffering, the terror and tyranny in front of their own doorsteps. And that's what's happening over here in Europe, especially in the German-speaking area. And we talked about these issues here on New Year's Eve in Cologne and other major cities in Germany, or let's say the Federal Republic of Germany, and Switzerland and Austria. So people are aware to the fact that something is completely going wrong with the nice title of helping refugees. It's actually taking the terror and importing the terror into their own environment. Yeah, so we will be following those things which are proceeding. And as you know, we do have our United We Strike Radio Marathon every second Saturday in a month. So next one will presumably be in February. So we will keep you up informed about the things. And if you want to listen to our individual broadcastings, we are broadcasting in German every Tuesday and Thursday between 4 and 6 p.m. Central European Times at wakenews.net, Wake News Radio, and or are also uploading our shows to our video channels at YouTube. And we also have our wakenews.tv own video channel. So if you want to join there and listen to and watch those videos, which we are keeping there, there's over 3,000 different videos, also in English. Then you're welcome to register, and then you can also link your favorite videos there, also in English language. This, everything is written in English. You just have to push the right language button. So please help us grow our own video channel, because we want to get more independent from YouTube, which belongs to the NSA. We all know the Google imperium. Yeah, so that's a hint and a possibility of growing your own information channels. And we are non-commercial at wakenews.net and wakenews.tv. So if you want to support us, you're welcome to do so. You can also get your United We Strike t-shirt and United We Strike cap if you want to demonstrate this. We're also shipping to the US. It takes a little while because of the shipping time. But if you're interested in just get in contact with us, and we will show you how to do this. Currently, we only have a shop which is here active in Europe, but we also are shipping to the US. We had occasional orders from there as well. So get in contact with us and show your support for UNITEDWESTRIKE.com as well. Yes, now I would like to take the opportunity in the last 15 minutes here of our show, in my part, to give us our view to what is happening in your country, in the US, in Oregon, to be specific. And you've all followed the news and the different reportings and information channels which are reporting on this in a manner that you have the idea of that is being reported in the right way in order to understand what's going on there, and not demonizing the so-called takeover by patriots under the guidance of a Bundy family member. And I mean, we are viewing this as this could be a start of a peaceful revolution. We are reporting on this here under wakenews.net revolution in USA as well. So if you're interested, you're welcome to have a look at it. And the Harney County, where this is taking place, a remote area within Oregon, where the Patriot group, which came in about a week ago to help a rancher which is in danger in Oregon by under the control and tyranny and terror from the federal government and their entities which are controlling their land, and wanted to throw them out of the area and to end his farming, their farming in the area, in order to make it all a national park. That has been seen as a possible way to show people also in the US. I mean, not all of the Americans are aware that the federal government has overreached and is actually is actually acting on behalf of those who are behind the New World Order, that they are taking away land which actually belongs to the states and to the people living in those states. And I've seen a statistic which is showing that the federal government actually has taken over the management. That's what they say, the management. But it is more than management. They've taken over possession of land which is basically owned by the individual states, amounting up to almost 37% of the whole territory of the US, which is almost like you would have half of Europe combined under possession. And this is very strange that the states allow for the federal government to own land, because as I understand it, and as we heard it, and which you can read also in the links which I posted here under the Revolution in USA topic under wakenews.net, that you can basically learn that the federal government doesn't have the right to own land to that proportion, only to certain exemptions in order to build a fort, for instance, or build ports or something like this, which has a certain overall importance. But to own farmland, that is not their purpose, and this is basically not what they are supposed to own. And if they destroy the farming country, the farm business, then they're also destroying the food building or the growing of food and supply for America, for Americans. So this is very strange, and therefore the Bundy, I call it the Bundy Initiative, makes sense to a certain extent, that they want to show the public that something is going wrong, that there is an overreach of federal powers into the states and into the sovereignty of the states on U.S. territory. Yeah, and they have taken over a federal building, or several federal buildings, and it's pretty cold up there currently, so it is not a very pleasant stay for the time being. But they are expecting that the federal forces will try to regain control of the federal buildings, and they are awaiting forceful attacks by FBI and other federal entities. Although the dispute or the grievances which are expressed by the people down there are not being discussed, accepted, and realized, and discussed and solved. So their activity seems to frighten the few powerful families which are trying to gain control over the land. Yeah, and that's the current issue, and the county, the Harney County, the sheriff who is responsible for this area is not really, it looks on the side of the farmers and not on the people's side, but rather on the side of the federal government. So that's the impression which we are getting here. But there's also, a different view of people of the county, of the safety committee, which have expressed their wishes that Bundy and his crew, or his party, which is occupying the federal buildings, do leave, because they are not out of the county, not out of the state necessarily, but they are, their service would be now not needed any further. So there's an interesting dispute going on there. How it is going to develop, we don't know. But interesting to know about this issue as well is that there has been information that the land which has been purchased and bought by the federal government, obviously using taxpayer money, public money probably, that this land is subject of trade as well. So the land which has been bought by the federal republic, by the federal government, is supposed to have interesting resources. So there's oil to be found underneath, there's gold to be found, and other minerals to be found in the grounds of these purchased lands. So what is the real objective of the federal government's land purchases? Is this only to protect nature by setting up natural reserves, or state reserves to protect the environment or any species of animals and so forth? Or are there other reasons for possessing and exploiting the land? So that's a new perspective in this game, and it's interesting to follow what they are talking about there. So far, there has not been yet a violent attack by federal forces against the small group of patriots under the leadership of one of the Bundy sons. So we will see what is going on, what is coming off this subject, and definitely it is an interesting one because it has reached international attention. We've been reporting about this. Many other new media have reported about this, and also mass media, matrix and controlled media had to report about the subject, and they have been interviewed by many mainstream media as well, so they had the opportunity to express their concerns, their grievances, and the legal and lawful aspects of the federal government takeover on the U.S. Territory. And it's also very interesting to link this to the gun grabbing strategy, which is also taking place in the U.S. I mean, Obama just signed this order to grab the guns from Americans. So we will see what this is all about, and maybe this is a step to make the people aware of the real reasons for the land take by the federal government. So we will see. Yeah, and this is also very interesting for us Europeans to follow what is going on the U.S. territory, because, I mean, the U.S. is so strong over here, and Europe is holding its iron fist on us, still occupying Germany. I mean, the U.S. regime in Washington, D.C. does so, the military, so that we are depending also on the developments which are taking place on U.S. territories, in the U.S. itself, the states, and what is happening between the government, the federal government, the state government, and the people in the U.S. So, you know, we're all depending on each other, and if they grab your guns in the U.S., then you are not being protected. You cannot protect yourself against anyone, intruders from outside and inside your country. So this is, we support you, Americans, in keeping your freedom, because if you can keep your freedom and liberties, we can as well. We can work together there. So thanks a lot for your input here and your help as well for us here in Europe, because if you protect freedom and liberties in the US, you will be helping us protecting ours here in Europe. So we will be working together very closely, all the woken and conscious people around the world have to unite, because only if we unite, all people worldwide, we will be able to fight as peaceful as possible tyranny on earth, and that is also our objective here in the US. Yeah, and we are now coming to the next break on top of the hour, and if you want to follow the program of United We Strike, or today's program, especially just visit our website, UNITEDWESTRIKE.com. You will also be able to listen to and download from our podcast archives today's shows. So after the show is over, we will be having everything uploaded on our servers for you to download on MP3 format. So please visit our site. You will find the links on the headers of our website, UNITEDWESTRIKE.com. And if you're interested in the German part, you're also welcome to listen to our program Tuesdays and Thursdays in German from 4 to 6 p.m. And afterwards we are usually repeating the show, so you will be able to listen to us up to 8 o'clock p.m. Our German transmission broadcasting. Yeah, and also visit our video channels. We are trying to upload as many videos as we can. We are not commercial So we are depending on the help of you and our listeners. And please visit our individual sites, wakeness.net and wakeness.tv. And I'm about to hand over to my colleague, Matt Navarro, and he will be your host and your producer for the next part of the United We Strike radio marathon. And please stay tuned while we are playing now our tune for the takeover from or to hand over to Matt Navarro. Stay tuned. This is Detlevs of Wakeness Radio, Wakeness TV. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next wonderful part of the United We Strike radio marathon.
UWS Radio and the International Community Radio Network is a joint partnership in Internet Community Radio, working to give each country a voice on a united global platform.